There's a moment in almost every transformation where it feels like things are just breaking. Not necessarily gently, but really breaking. I mean, systems collapse, relationships shift, identities dissolve. Structures that once felt solid begin to feel like they're wobbling. And it's in these moments that the mind immediately goes to one place. Something is wrong. But what if something else is happening? What if sometimes things need to fall apart in order for something even more aligned to come together? And that's what this episode is all about. So let's dive in. Becoming a co-creator with the creator is your birthright. Together, we'll journey into your deepest authenticity. Because the more you align with who you truly are, the more effortlessly you call in the life that you desire and deserve. And most importantly, the more you step into your soul's highest purpose. Welcome to the Manifestation Method podcast, your number one source for Kabbalistic manifestation. Here we combine the ancient wisdom of Kabbalah, modern psychology, and quantum physics to help you achieve real, tangible manifestation results with my proven Abra method. I'm Ayelet Polonsky, and I'm here to guide you on your journey of manifesting a life that is aligned, expansive, and deeply connected to your highest self through the sacred energetic mechanics of Kabbalistic manifestation. To learn how to use Kabbalistic manifestation to transform your life from the inside out, go to ayeletpolonsky.com or download the Manifestation Method app. Let's open the gates of manifestation together. If you look around right now, I know I can feel it everywhere, right? Globally, we are living through a time of immense disruption. Political systems are shaking, economic models are shifting, institutions that once felt untouchable are being questioned. Even technology is transforming the way that we live faster than we can emotionally process. And we see that communities are reorganizing, power structures are being challenged. There's so much. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of destruction. And when we are in the middle of destruction, it's so easy to assume that we are witnessing a collapse. But there's another way to see it, right? What if we are just witnessing a reorganization? Throughout history, every major paradigm shift has begun with unraveling of what once seemed permanent. The old world cracks before the new one can form. And we're in one of those moments right now. We are just watching an old operating system of humanity begin to glitch. And when an operating system glitches, like two things happen at the same time. Right? The old structures become unstable and new possibilities start quietly emerging. But those possibilities are not always visible on the onsite, right? Not yet at the beginning. They're still forming and they are subtle and they are emerging in small pockets of people who are questioning things in a different way. Right? People who are choosing values over status, or connection over competition, or meaning over performance, right? Or truth, inner truth over self-abandonment. And so often the early stages of a paradigm shift look really chaotic because what's happening is the old system is losing its grip while the new system has not yet fully taken shape. And this is the messy middle of evolution. Before we continue, I'd like to share something that I've personally been using in my own practice, especially during monthly ceremonies and gatherings. I've been integrating the Rainbow Chakra full-length mat from Healthy Line, and it's become a really supportive part of how I ground my nervous system and create intentional space. This mat combines far infrared heat, PEMF therapy, and chakra aligned gemstones, which makes it incredibly powerful for slowing down, regulating, and reconnecting with the body. Each time I get on the mat, it works every time. I feel a deep sense of warmth and a settling. I don't feel stimulated. I don't feel like I have to force anything. It's just my system remembering how to soften. So I use it during meditation, breath work, and like I said, I have all my participants use it during monthly ceremonies, and I've gotten such amazing feedback. Everybody just loves laying on this mat. It's really the kind of experience that stays with you even after you get up off the mat. So if you're curious about it and you want to learn more about how it works and how I use it in my own personal practice, you can click the link in my show notes or visit the link in my bio. This is where ancient spiritual wisdom becomes incredibly helpful, because what we see in Kabbalah, there is a foundational concept called tzimtzum. And tzimtzum refers to a contraction that happens before creation. And so the teaching says that before the universe came into existence, there had to quite literally be a withdrawal of divine light. In other words, there was a constriction, a clearing of space. And so why? Because without space, nothing new can emerge. If you want new furniture in your living room, you have to clear out the old furniture. And so creation requires a pause. It requires a contraction. It requires a moment where the old fullness pulls back so something new can be born. And this concept, this idea shows up everywhere in life, right? A breath must leave the body before the next inhale can come in. Winter must strip the trees bare before spring can grow new leaves, right? A seed must crack open in the darkness of the soil before a plant can rise towards the sun. And so in our own lives, sometimes a dismantling happens before the real realignment can appear. And there's even another Kabbalistic idea that speaks to this truth, and that is yerida letzorech aliyah, which means descent for the sake of ascent. So in other words, sometimes the downward movement, right, when we're going down the roller coaster, it's not a failure. Right? It's preparation for the upswing. And so the descent is never the end of the story. It's really just a prelude to elevation. And I really think that this is something so many people are experiencing right now, both collectively and also personally in our own little lives. Because it's not just that the world feels like it's restructuring. It's our own individual lives, too, that is restructuring themselves. And so many people right now are questioning the systems and structures that they built their lives on. I see it in my own life. I see it in my clients, in my community. People are asking themselves, do I really want this career? Do I actually believe what I was taught to believe? Do I actually want this lifestyle that I'm living? Right? Do I actually want to continue these particular patterns in my relationships? And so things that once felt stable suddenly feel misaligned. And that can be really terrifying, because when the identity that we've been living inside of starts dissolving, it can quite literally feel like we're losing ourselves or like we're free falling. But what if what we're actually doing is just finding ourselves anew, right? Because when identities dissolve, truth now has space to emerge. And so that space allows us to ask the deeper questions, like, what do I really believe? What are my actual values? What boundaries do I need to set in order to live in integrity with myself? Or what parts of my life were built from expectation of others rather than my own true authenticity? And this is what I call identity alchemy. And identity alchemy, while it can feel uncomfortable, it is really one of the most empowering processes a human being can go through. It's a rebirth, it's a reclamation, it's an initiation. Because when these false layers begin to fall away, the real self can begin to emerge. And it reminds me of a beautiful metaphor from nature that really captures this idea perfectly. And it's about the caterpillar, right? When a caterpillar enters the chrysalis, the cocoon phase, it doesn't simply grow wings right away. It's inside the chrysalis that the caterpillar actually dissolves. It breaks down completely and turns into a kind of like a cellular soup, a mush, a goop. And from the outside, it appears like it's destruction. But within that dissolving body are things called imaginal cells. And these imaginal cells carry the blueprint of the butterfly. So as the caterpillar dissolves, these imaginal cells begin to organize and rebuild the body into something new entirely. Right? The butterfly was always encoded inside the caterpillar from the day the caterpillar was born. But the caterpillar could not turn into the butterfly and could not emerge without dissolving. And so I think that this metaphor is incredibly relevant for the time period that we're all living in. So many of us right now are experiencing structures that defined our identities are dissolving. Old economic models, old definitions of success, old expectations about relationships, old ways of organizing society. And then within that dissolving, something new is quietly forming, right? The imaginal cells of a new paradigm are coming into form, right? A paradigm that looks more conscious, more interconnected, more values driven, right? More aligned with our own truth versus what we were told to believe. You know, more aligned with our truth rather than maybe the tradition that we were born into. And so individually, we are all also carrying imaginal cells. We are carrying possibility and potential and ideas and visions and manifestations. We're carrying desires for how life could be different. And we're beginning to imagine and use our imagination, right? But the truth is, those imaginal cells often get attacked by the old system. You know, just like in the chrysalis, the caterpillar's old cells initially treat the imaginal cells like a threat. But eventually, the imaginal cells multiply until they reorganize the entire organism. And that's what transformation looks like. It is messy. It is uncertain. It can feel like chaos. But within that chaos, new intelligence is literally organizing. And so if you are in a season where things feel like they're falling apart, if systems in your life are cracking, if your identity feels like it's shifting beneath your feet, then I really want to offer you a new perspective as we all collectively and individually enter into this new paradigm. Hi, Ayelet here. I just wanted to pop in and say I am so excited to officially introduce the Manifestation Method portal, membership, and app. This is your home for all things Kabbalistic manifestation. You'll get access to my monthly live workshops, soul deep hypno activations and attunements, all of our manifestation courses, and our global community of manifestors. And the best part? It's just $26 a month. That's less than a latte a week. Come manifest alongside me and start creating the life you desire and deserve. Head over to ayeletpolonsky.com to join us. Right? Because things are changing and they're changing quickly. And if we don't stay aligned and conscious and aware, then we're literally going to feel like we're falling apart. And so the new perspective is that maybe this is not destruction. Maybe this is the tzimtzum, the contraction that's creating space, right? Maybe this is the yerida, the descent, preparing the sacred ground for ascent. And maybe the caterpillar version of your life is dissolving so that the butterfly version of you can emerge. Because the imaginal cells inside you already know the direction, right? Your intuition knows, your dreams, they know, right? Your imagination knows. And the discomfort that you're feeling, that contrast in your body that you're experiencing right now, there's a wisdom to it. There's information. And it takes a lot of courage to be willing to go full throttle into the new paradigm. It takes a lot of courage because a part of us has to die, right? And so your quiet knowing that something more aligned is possible requires your real deep listening, attention, and attunement. Because transformation does not always feel graceful when it's happening. Oftentimes it can feel really confusing. It can feel really lonely. Sometimes it feels like standing in the rubble of a life you thought you understood. And it can be really hard sometimes to have the difficult conversations with the people who we hold near and dear, who expect us to stay stuck with them in the old paradigm. Right? But again, the reminder here is that on the other side of the dissolution is a new order, a new alignment, a new way of living that is truer to who you actually are. So if things feel really intense right now, then remember this. Dissolution is not the opposite of creation. Dissolution is often the doorway. It is the midwife to creation. And sometimes things need to fall apart so that something more aligned can finally come back together. So if you're in that in-between space right now, then trust that the imaginal cells are already at work. The new paradigm is forming, and so are you. And maybe the real invitation in moments like these is not to rush to rebuilding, but to allow the transformation to do its sacred work, to almost like take a step back and become the witness. Don't resist the change, but watch it. And, a question I like to ask myself is, it's kind of more like a prayer. It's a prayer that I like to put out to the Creator. And I say, show me the way to ... right? Show me the way to... right? Show me the way to stay more curious. Show me the way to listen more deeply. Show me the way to surrender to your divine guidance, to trust that even in this uncertainty, something intelligent is unfolding through me, right? Because the caterpillar never becomes the butterfly by holding on to the caterpillar identity, right? It becomes the butterfly by surrendering to the process of becoming. And so maybe that's where we are right now, individually, collectively, inside of the dark chrysalis. So I invite you here inside the chrysalis to take a breath, to trust the process, and to remember that just because something is dissolving does not mean that your life is falling apart, right? Sometimes it means your life is finally rearranging itself into the shape that your soul always intended, right? And from this perspective, we get to trust the soul plunge. We get to trust the direction that our soul is gently and sometimes not so gently pulling us towards. And so if today's episode resonated with you, then I invite you to take a moment to reflect on this question. What in my life might not actually be collapsing, but rather reorganizing into something more aligned? And if this episode resonated with you, I invite you to please pay it forward, send it to a friend, send it to a family member, send it to someone you know who's going through their dark chrysalis phase and can use some a pep talk or some inspiration, or give them a sense of hope that not everything is lost. Sharing the episode and even just giving it a rating, giving this podcast a rating, a review. It really helps get this message out to more people who could really use a bit of a virtual hug. So thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you all in the next episode. Here's to your rising. If you enjoyed this episode, let's keep the conversation going inside the Manifestation Method Portal app, your #1 destination for Kabbalistic manifestation. Inside, you'll unlock the secrets of manifestation through my proven Abra method, rooted in Kabbalah, psychology, and quantum physics, designed to help you manifest real, tangible results from the inside out. Join our global community of manifestors, explore our signature courses, monthly live manifestation workshops with me, Ayelet, and access our transformational hypno activations and attunements to rewire limiting beliefs and align with your soul's purpose. The app is available now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. To sign up, head over to ayeletpolonsky.com. Becoming a co-creator with the Creator is your birthright. Let's manifest the life you desire and deserve together.